Tunes lost episode. That's all, folks. They say television can rot your brain. But in the summer of 2001, TV did something worse. It devoured the world. It started at midnight. No matter what channel you had on, news, cartoons, weather reports, even static, the screen cut to black. Then, the familiar brass fanfare of Looney Tunes erupted. But there was no cheerful color, no bouncing Bugs Bunny. The screen was gray, grainy, flickering like a degraded film reel. The words Looney Tunes Special Broadcast appeared, dripping as though painted in wet blood. Every television in every country, every home, every bar, every hospital room, even old sets that hadn't worked in years, all switched on at once. There was no escape. The iconic rings appeared, but instead of clean lines, they were fleshy, pulsing circles, throbbing with veins. Porky Pig popped into the center. At first he stuttered his usual line. "That's all, folks." But it dragged on too long. His words turned into wet, choking gasps. His eyes bulged, veins bursting in them, while his lips peeled back into a torn, gory grin. The stutter became a sound like gurgling blood. Then he stopped, stared at the camera, and whispered clearly, "You'll never leave." The screen did not fade out. It snapped to the episode. The desert stretched endless. Bugs Bunny appeared, but he wasn't himself. His fur was patchy and gray. Flies swarmed the wounds in his body. His ears drooped like wilted skin. He muttered, voice broken and whispery, "Ain't I a stinker?" But he didn't smirk. He sobbed. Elmer Fudd emerged, not with his usual shotgun, but carrying a rusted butcher's cleaver. Half his face was melted, jaw unhinged, teeth blackened and falling out. He didn't say, "I'm hunting wabbits." He rasped, "I'm hunting flesh." When he caught Bugs, the violence wasn't slapstick. It was real. Elmer tackled him, hacking his body apart in sickening detail, cleaver smashing bone, splitting skin, tearing organs loose. Bugs screamed with human-like agony, pleading, "Stop! Please! Please!" Viewers swore they felt the heat of his blood through the screen. Some swore the smell of iron filled their living rooms. But when Bugs was finally silent, twitching in the sand, the horror twisted deeper. Daffy Duck waddled into view, but his feathers were missing in patches, revealing raw muscle and crawling maggots. His beak cracked open like a broken jaw. He laughed, but the laugh was doubled, layered with a demonic growl. He dragged Bugs' mutilated corpse away, crunching bones and tearing flesh with his beak. Blood poured down his chest. When he finished, he turned toward the audience. "You're inexplicable," he hissed. And then, he pushed his hand against the screen. The glass bulged inward, like something pressing from the other side. Some viewers screamed as cartoon fingers reached through their televisions. Several households later reported children vanishing that night, pulled into the screens, never seen again. The background warped again. The desert dissolved into the Looney Tunes title card. Only this time, the concentric rings were made of spinning human eyes. They blinked, bloodshot, staring at every viewer. Inside the rings stood the entire Looney Tunes cast: Bugs, Daffy, Sylvester, Tweety, Yosemite Sam, Granny, but they weren't drawn. They looked real, like taxidermy corpses stitched together, their glassy eyes wet and alive. One by one, their heads snapped toward the audience. Then the screen went black. A voice spoke, distorted and layered with hundreds of others. It was Porky Pig's voice, but slowed, guttural. "We are tired of being watched. It's your turn." When the screen lit up again, the audience saw themselves. Every living room, every viewer reflected back, as though their own TV was now a window. Families saw themselves sitting on their couches, wide-eyed and frozen. And then cartoon hands began pulling their doubles inside the episode. In cities worldwide, screams filled the night as millions vanished into their own screens. Those pulled inside didn't appear in the desert or the title card. They appeared in episodes. One man was thrown into a distorted version of Duck Season/Rabbit Season, where Daffy ripped his jaw off instead of being shot. A child appeared in Tweety and Sylvester, where Tweety pecked out her eyes while giggling. Others were dropped into Road Runner, where Wile E. Coyote strapped real explosives to their bodies and laughed as they detonated, painting the canyon walls with their organs. The cartoons fed on them. The laughter track that played wasn't canned. It was the agonized screaming of those trapped inside. Those who weren't pulled inside weren't safe. The episode altered reality. Viewers began hallucinating violently. Some clawed out their eyes to stop the show. Others turned on loved ones, convinced their families had been replaced by animated imposters. Hospitals overflowed with the mutilated. Police reported entire cities rioting, people tearing each other apart in a frenzy of paranoia and madness. And yet, no matter how much blood was shed, the episode played on every screen. Near the end of the hour, Porky Pig appeared again, but he was no longer pink. His skin sloughed off, leaving a wet, glistening skeleton. His eyes dripped black fluid. He leaned into the camera, close enough that his teeth filled the entire screen. "This isn't a cartoon," he whispered. "This is a mirror." The episode ended with the classic Looney Tunes sign-off. "That's all, folks." But the font wasn't playful. It was carved into flesh, letters writhing as though alive. Then came the black screen. For some, the broadcast stopped there. For others, their TV stayed on, even when unplugged, faintly glowing, playing the episode in silence, showing the viewer themselves being watched. In the weeks that followed, governments denied the event, but morgues filled to capacity. Suicide rates skyrocketed. Cities became graveyards of televisions glowing faintly at night, looping snippets of the cursed episode. And every so often, survivors reported the same nightmare. Standing inside the Looney Tunes rings, surrounded by rotting cartoon characters, while Porky Pig whispered behind them, "Your rerun starts soon."